we're now heading into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your game number one of your first semi-final for the $20,000 EGC TV Genesis. Spawning in the northwest of the map in the color blue, it is the Viper playing as the Mongols. And his opponent, who spawns in the southeast of the map, spawning in on the color red, he is RecoN. Lidicor, how you doing? You're looking forward to a nice long series, I hope. A full 5-game series we can expect.
I certainly hope we're gonna have a 5-game series as RecoN opens up with all those deer being slaughtered. He's using the fast-firing method that we have seen quite frequently in latter games as well. Was done by Hera very extensively in the previous rounds, and you see the benefit is that you can just kill those deer very fast and you're already up to 75 bounty. Looking at the map real quick, it is just a weird Lipany generation. The players are pretty far apart from each other. Not something that we have seen a lot yesterday. Yesterday they seemed to spawn a lot closer to each other.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty fair spawn as well on this map, so definitely some improvement over yesterday, and we see Viper now moving out. Now, one thing to note that in this matchup, the Khan can't actually animation cancel. The Scout can animation cancel, the Khan cannot. It also does less damage to these huntable deer, so Rus definitely a bit of a favorite in the opening. We actually see that the Scout for RecoN is moving behind the base of the Viper, looking to find those hunts. Viper picking up the first hunt, but undoubtedly going to continue looking for that second or even that third hunt. RecoN getting out a second scout as well, moving towards the east of the map and going to continue up that line up there.
Viper also popped out the scout right at the beginning, and he did so from his town center, not a stable. So he sacrifices one villager, but he will get a couple more sheep for himself. In fact, I think I really like how many sheep he managed to collect. If you look at RecoN, he was just going for the hunt. Barely any sheep collected by those scouts.
Yeah, I don't think he's too fussed about that. And I can expect that one of the things that we'll see is if there's a low sheep count from a player like RecoN, probably going to be translating that into a professional scouts play. So we'll look to see whether he gets out more scouts in the transition. We actually see he's picked up a couple wolves over here towards the north of the map and going to continue microing them around. We'll see if he does that stutter step micro, that animation cancelling. We did see he was doing it on the wolf. He's got to be careful not to run too far away from those wolves, though. They will lose aggro if he's not careful.
Yeah, the vision on them is actually very big, so it takes quite a bit of a distance to make sure that they de-aggro. And as you said, RecoN can just use the rapid firing ability of the scouts here, while Viper cannot do that with the Khan. We can safely say he cannot do that.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have to deal with this all day, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking of all day, we've got ourselves a little bit of a Kremlin going down. And a curious spot here, Lidicor. Well, he's actually cancelled the Kremlin. Okay, he's gone for a little bit more defensive, going to try and cover his gold as well as his berries. And I think that this is a little bit safer of a position. I do agree with this. But I have some questions. I think this should be able to hit that lumber camp that he's got down towards the bottom of his base. But there's, yes, we can actually see the plus sign on top of it. So that is going to just reach it. Now, keep in mind, the Kremlin is going to be acting as a wooden fortress. For anybody unfamiliar with the wooden fortress, it does buff up all lumber camps and town centers nearby, giving them an extra 20% resources that are dropped off. Speaking of resources that are dropped off, we actually see RecoN running out of food underneath the town center as well. So going to be placing down that hunting cabin on his berry bush, and not what he is really hoping for. This is a very expensive building to be placing down this early in the game.
It is extremely expensive indeed. The thing that's a little concerning for RecoN's Kremlin here is that while it's technically protecting both the gold and the berries, in reality it's protecting neither. Because it's quite far away from the berries, it's kind of far away from the gold. So if you get pushed, it's gonna take some time until you run into this building. So there's definitely damage potential from Viper on the gold if he's coming from the south, or on the berries if he's coming from the north.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and I think that's so accurate with what you've said. It's trying to protect both, but it is failing to protect either, and that's so 100% on the money. It, unfortunately, the way that it sits there like that, it doesn't give good coverage or appropriate coverage of either. You know, they're going to be able to use that as a location to garrison in, but realistically, it doesn't do a lot. They're still going to be able to, or Viper is still going to be able to take down or isolate those resources. But speaking of the Viper, going to be going up with the deer stones over in his base. on the Gur, collecting up gold as well. So I'm curious as to how we're going to be watching him play. No early aggression coming out just yet from the Viper. He is going to be scouting out the base of RecoN and spotting exactly what's up. We see a scout just outside his base at the moment, but he's quite heavy on gold here. What do you think he's going to be doing with that gold?
It's possible we're going to see Manga die, because if he wanted to go for Spearmen and Archers, he could already drop the barracks so that he can start making Spearmen. But we've seen no sign of that. To me, with all the gold that he has, it's possible that it's going to be a couple of Manga die first.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out exactly what that is. He looks like he spent the majority of his gold. Where is that gone through? Are we able to see? Is he researching any tech at the moment?
Ooh.
So he's got Wheelbarrow coming through. Nothing at the Uvu at the moment.
And no army at all.
Yeah,
Not a single bit
very
of an
strange.
aggression. So it looks like picking the Mongols here might be some sort of a bait here by Viper, making the opponent think that the Spearmen and Archers are coming. And there is some advantages of that, because you see, RecoN had to make the Kremlin instead of the Golden Gate. If RecoN knew that there is no aggression from Viper, he probably would have gone for the Golden Gate and go for a second town center.
Yeah, very curious opening here from the Viper. This is probably the most passive Mongol opening I've ever seen, but now with barracks coming down, he obviously does spot out the knight from his opponent that continues to make its way across the map. And Viper sitting at the moment on 600 plus stone as well. Take a look at this. This is very cheeky. We've got ourselves a little bit of a hunting cabin boom over here.
I like the idea and dislike it at the same time. From one end, it's actually very good to have this gold trickle, and it's permanent. You basically don't have to mine a lot of gold if you have this. The drawback is that you're fighting against Mongols, so the moment the Mongols see that, they can set these buildings on fire and get the food and gold bounty from it.
Yeah, that is a massive part of the difficulties fighting against the Mongols. Is just how effective they are against sieging those buildings. But we've got ourselves a double town center now, getting dropped down. Viper going for an early second town center here, a 7-minute town center. I don't know how I missed up 900 wood being stacked up, but apparently I did. So Viper really going to be playing a little bit more economic. Is this the first double town center boom we've ever seen from the Mongols?
I don't think it's the first one ever. I think Daut loves to play multiple town centers with the Mongols. But one thing is sure, in this tournament, the players focus a lot more on the aggression with the Mongols. And I guess the concept here for Viper was that he wants to bait his opponent into thinking that the aggression is coming.
It makes a lot of sense. It really does. So that's a great way of thinking about it. We can see that there are plenty of units out here for him. He's got a couple of Lancers, or a couple of early Knights, rather, but managing to get away with the Khan, and he's just going to continue tracking those units as he moves around the base. Obviously, now those archers are going to come through towards that south town center, but realizing that there's probably not a lot that they can do here now, he can add siege engineering in behind this, but it's going to take time for him to do that.
It's going to take time and it's going to take resources, and behind this one, Viper is going to have a very, very powerful boom. He already has villagers out on the hunt. He has gotten Wheelbarrow quite early, getting pastures up. And the real thing that he achieved with this is that he baited the Kremlin out instead of a Golden Gate. That's the big thing here. If the Golden Gate was there, RecoN could just add the second TC himself and catch up in terms of economy.
Yeah, and now we see the Khan actually harassing one of the archers, the reinforcing archers coming out and forcing it back. Very, very cheeky there from Viper. Also going to be picking up an archer as it heads in for a little bit of a dive right now. Bit of miss micro coming out there from RecoN as well. So first mistake of the game has been forced by the Viper.
RecoN currently sitting at 32 villagers, whereas Viper is at 34, so far Viper wasn't able to carve out a big eco lead. In fact, with those hunting cabins, RecoN might still have the economy advantage.
Yes. It is, what's the response here from the Rus player? Because the burden is now upon him. So when I talk about the burden, it's the burden that he must react to this. He must do something, because if the game goes on, Viper simply sits on 2 town centers, he out-ecos his opponent, and he wins the game through sheer economic brute force. So what is the appropriate response here for RecoN?
I think it depends on what he thinks Viper is going to do, because the first thing to note is that while Viper is on 2 TCs, he's starting to pop out double archers. And with the Mongols, you have a very, very clean transition from this double TC boom into a flood of units. So it's very possible that we're going to see an army of like 50 units for Viper in a couple of minutes. So I don't think RecoN can just sit back and defend. Instead, he should just go for some sort of aggression and force Viper to make that army right now.
And speaking of aggression, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a ram going down. So a single ram now, and it is important to note he is playing against a Mongol player, and we may just see that Mongol town center pick up itself and move on to its next location. But speaking of picking up and moving on to a next location, looks like we've got ourselves some professional scouts being a little bit greedy over here, picking up some hunts.
I like the professional scouts, although I feel like it would have been better to bring in these. You have enough food beneath the town center, so you want to prioritize the ones that are a little more exposed.
Yeah, and interestingly, we actually saw him garrisoning the scouts inside the town center. I wonder if that drops the carcasses at the edge of the town center where they come in. But now we've got some. Yeah, it is. It's very curious. But now we see the Mongol player, TheViper, doing a little bit of defense. Going to be sitting on the front line here. Couple of spears in, getting in on the action. Now, keep in mind that town center is popping off. He's got towers here as well to defend. Lidercorp, it looks like he's going to be able to hold, but going to be taking a fair bit of damage here, I suspect.
RecoN has been fighting against the spearmen for an extended amount of time as he was trying to focus down the archers, and I feel like at this point Viper has to be satisfied with this fight. He did lose the tower, but he's not losing a lot of eco, and it looks like he will be able to force RecoN back for the time being.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of just forcing it back. It looks like a second ram also going to be coming down in the meantime. Are we able to check those villages and see whether they've got their textile upgrade just yet? They do indeed have their textile upgrade, so going to have some extra HP to survive through those archer shots. But Townsend are doing a great job of just providing that cover fire.
There is also a defensive outpost here for Viper, so he has the Yam effect on his units, including the villagers. It makes it much easier to micro your vills when it comes to sniping down rams like that.
Yeah, there's a huge movement speed bonus that they get by being in the YAM network, but now we continue to see those scouts bringing back all of those deer. Let's see what he does with them, whether he drops them down or whether he accidentally put them into the town center earlier.
Oh.
It looks like he's just clicking on the town center to bring them in. I'm curious exactly what method he's using to drop those off. It can be a little bit difficult sometimes when it comes to dropping off your deer at the town center, so any sort of bonus can be really, really helpful in that situation. But now it looks like RecoN's going to be running out of berries here on the front line, but very fortunately, he's got plenty of hunts that are going to last him for a long, long time into the future. Viper now sitting up on 53 economic units, 29 military. RecoN, on the other hand, 43, so 10 military, or 10 economic units behind. So now going to begin pushing out, and you can just see how well he's actually used the bonus of the Uvu to cover his early expansion. So he spent 900 resources on this town center. For the Mongols, their town center is quite expensive, 900 wood only, but then he's gone ahead and got those double unit productions in. Lidercorp, a little bit of a battle happening right now.
RecoN tried to snap the Khan, but Viper is doing an excellent job pulling it back, and the numbers just seem to be way better for Mr. Viper here, and the Knight's kind of heavily battered. I'm not sure if RecoN can force an engagement here right now.
It's looking difficult for him because, remember, the shoe is on his foot, so to speak. I don't know if that is the correct term, but he needs to act, and he needs to act right now. That is the problem that he's got. His enemy has got 2 town centers up. His enemy is pushing him out, and he needs to make moves right now.
He most definitely does. There's a tower coming up here for RecoN. That's a curious decision, as a tower is also coming up for Viper to expand the Yam aura all the way into the edge of the base of Mr. RecoN.
Yeah, this is a very strong tower. If Viper manages to get this up, it's going to be very difficult for RecoN to ever really push into the mass of Viper. Primarily because that YAM network, when it comes out, it's going to continue to have a lasting buff. Now we do spot that RecoN's tower is almost finished here. No line of sight, but this is going to give him a huge bonus to his line of sight. As those rams begin to push out across the map, we take a look at that stealth forest, and you can see straight over the top of it, those units having no issues. A little bit of a bug that's happening on that south side of the forest, though. See if you can spot that bug there, Lidercorp. So if we go back to the player line of sight, yeah, for whatever reason, it's actually blocked out all of that line of sight behind where that outpost was going to be. He should be able to see over that very clearly, but for whatever reason, he's unable to. But now, going to continue pushing forward. A couple of battering rams at the front, and look at this archer mass out from the Viper.
Yeah, Viper's got a big mass of archers. It's so big that it doesn't matter that you have knights with a lot of pierce armor. They will still get picked apart by this many archers, especially if you got the attack rate arrow as well.
Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous. And now we see that attack speed arrow going to be going off. Viper doing his best to trade out Archer with Archer, save his pikes for those knights as they do come in. And Viper just having a larger mass here than his opponent. It's going to make it very easy for him to continue trading out. Spears moving up to the front, looking to connect with those knights and doing a pretty decent job, but they do manage to get picked off. About 8 knights remain and going to continue to chase Viper underneath his town center. He's going to continue to micro away. He's got that Yam network as well. It's going to continue to work wonders as pastures get built up on the back line, and Viper manages to hold once again.
Indeed he did. He was able to pop out the attack rate arrow the moment before the Khan died, as Viper is now on 3 town centers even.
Oh my gosh.
Getting it up on the hunt.
This is ridiculous. Viper is just the ultimate boomer, isn't he? He is incredible. He's going to school. 59 villages now for the Viper. We'll take a look over at RecoN. RecoN sitting on 52, so Viper losing quite a few villages in that battle.
He did lose some, and we also have to consider that now he has to transition to pastures, so even though he might have 3 town centers, he might not have the food to make all of them work consistently, especially if you keep adding spearmen and archers at the same time as well.
He's doing incredibly well, but I would say that there is a window right now that can be exploited. RecoN, if he identifies this, could potentially win the game in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So Viper now having a bit of a difficult time as those spears look to connect on the front line. Knights doing a great job of cleaning them up with the archers on the back line. And now finally all of those archers going to be doing their best to try and kite into the pastures, maybe use a bit of a pasture blocking, but managing to force RecoN to retreat. Are we able to check the stats on the RecoN units as to whether he's got those +1 upgrades in? He does have +1 pierce at the moment. Looks like +1 melee attack as well, +1 bow attack as well. And this town center going to be going down for Viper, it seems.
It seems like it. He's trying to repair it desperately, and it's sort of a Hail Mary here from RecoN. Might even be an overcommitment because looks like Viper is holding this.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for RecoN in this position. Viper's score has now considerably blown out. He is up about 1,000 points, but keep in mind he is playing the Mongols. And one of the things we do know about the Mongols is you can't always trust their scores. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to see as to whether that is a real reflection of the score. But doing a quick assessment of how these players are going, Lidicor, how do you feel the chances are for the Viper in this first game?
It's looking better and better, and before the set I kind of felt like Viper is able to close out close games, and this is exactly what we're seeing here. In these tight situations, he was able to keep that TC up. It was very close, but this is a win here for him in this battle.
Yeah, he hasn't been able, or he didn't decide to move that TC on. He very easily could have, but he said, you know what? I'm going to hold this TC here. It's providing covering fire for my army. Sure, it's soaking up a lot of ram damage, but we can heal that bad boy up. And I think that's exactly it from the Viper. He knows when to hold him. He knows when to fold him. And he has demonstrated here that, you know, he doesn't need to fold in this circumstance. He can keep the TC sitting on that front line.
And now we're seeing Viper taking over in terms of economy. With that hunt available, he is about to click up to Castle Age. RecoN, not so far away from Castle Age himself either, though. That's a curious crossing out there. Not gonna lie, that could be problematic for Viper if this game goes very long.
Yeah, this is something that you don't really expect to see, but I guess he is playing the Mongols, so it's not like we could really expect to see him walling up there anyway. But Viper going to be clicking up to the 3rd age now. We'll see if we can find exactly what his age up is. The step redoubt and actually getting interrupted here on the back line. Frustrating. Frustrating.
That's very, very frustrating. What's also frustrating is a big horde of archers pushing the base of RecoN, though. And since he was the aggressor for most of the time, it's not like he went for a lot of defensive towers. His wood line could be exposed, his farming eco was idled for some time.
Yeah, one of the things to note, RecoN is also heading up to the 3rd age, going up with the Abbey of the Trinity, I believe. We'll see if we can spot that one out. It might be down towards the south of his base. Indeed, it is the Abbey of the Trinity. So making sure it's on the back line, wants to keep those relics safe. Gonna give him access to that all-important warrior monk and get them out there at half the cost of what a normal warrior monk would cost. Those things are quite expensive though, Lidicor. Have you seen the cost on those bad boys?
Those are very expensive. It's 40 food, 200 gold, right?
Yeah, they are very, very expensive. But obviously the Abbey of the Trinity going to reduce that cost down, actually halves it. So it brings it down to 2,100, so much cheaper. Both players now clicking up. We are going to be seeing the veteran upgrades coming through for these players now. as well. So there's that veteran knight going to be coming in. Or not even veteran knight, it's just knight upgrade, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
so
called knight.
Losing that early status. Bit of a concerning push right now for Viper. He's got to be careful. He may have overextended here. He's got a couple knights in the back line, but looking to actually secure a huge skewer on the front line. It looks like Viper's Lancers managed to connect. We do see the veterancy upgrade now coming through for his knights, or the normal status. Viper doing his best to try and fight. He's got his spears up on the front. These guys are only hardened, yet to get that veteran upgrade. Viper still fighting archers with archers, and looks to get potentially cleaned up here. This is a huge swing right now for RecoN, and a bit of a throw from Viper.
It was a bit of a throw indeed, as you said. Viper mismicroed his spearmen a tiny bit, and the big deal was that those spearmen were still feudal age spears, and these are now castle age knights. So suddenly those archers all get slaughtered. When you get the knight upgrade, you also get 1 extra pierce armor and 1 extra melee armor. So you see now these guys have 6 ranged armor, so those archers basically don't do anything, and Viper's entire army got cleaned up.
Yeah, we actually see the scores beginning to close up now, less than 600 between these two players. We take a look at the populations, 85 economic, 17 military. Compare that over to RecoN, who's sitting on 64 and 39 military. So about a 20 villager difference for Viper at the moment, but a significant military disadvantage. Going to be pushing forward with some of those spears. We see men-at-arms now getting mixed in as well, Lidicor. And now the action really begins.
It does. In fact, I feel like the men-at-arms could be something that the RecoN adds, because he has been fighting against archers and spearmen for a long time. Looks like Viper's gonna make a full transition to men-at-arms.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough decision, though, at this point. It's very easy. Both players in the castle age going to be able to add in crossbowmen as he spots more and more of those men-at-arms coming in. So I would expect if we checked on RecoN's archery ranges right now, they would probably have crossbows queued up inside them. Nothing in that one. It's all right. Nope. They'll be in soon.
They need to be in
pushing
because
forward with the battering ram.
Like, you need those crossbows soon, because Viper's gonna mass a big horde of men-at-arms, and he can use the double training to react to this one really fast. In fact, you see, right now it's just single training, but wherever the Ovu is, we might see double barracks.
Yeah. I think it might be a bit to the west, the Ovu. Just up you on the edge of your screen right now. There it is. To the, yeah, there she is.
Looks like there is no double training for Viper, so it's just good old-fashioned 1 unit at a time.
Yeah, Viper's sitting up on about 300 stone at the moment, so could look to potentially get some lances out or some technologies out. I think at this point, I'd probably prefer the technologies. A lot of great improved technologies that you can get with that stone and with that Uber, of course.
One of the technologies you could grab is the improved siege, which would help you get some springolds out on the field. We have seen how powerful that could be, men-at-arms springolds. Although the numbers are pretty impressive for RecoN, so you would need quite a lot of springolds to make it happen.
Yeah, RecoN going to be pushing in right now. You see these rams getting dropped down and looking a little bit concerning for Viper. This is Viper's primary base at this point. A lot of his pastures are here. A lot of his economy is here. So 2 rams here is going to force him back. And at the same time, we've got a little bit of a raid happening up near the Steppe Redoubt. No garrison ability inside this, but it looks like the knights are going to just be rallying over there and begin tapping away at those villages. Very unfortunate timing. Men-at-arms on the backline as well, going to be looking to pick off a warrior monk, but now Viper switching over to lancers.
Viper indeed does. He doesn't have a lot of them right now, but we also don't have a lot of knights here for RecoN. He only has archers, and that's a lot of men-at-arms he's fighting against.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here. One of the things we mentioned is we need to see crossbow transition. Viper's begun his transition into crossbows. We haven't seen the same for RecoN at this stage as he tries his best to get back. He's got +1 range defense, Viper does, but we don't see that +2 coming in just yet. The same time, we've got attack sirens going off for RecoN. And he's doing some work on that Steppe Redoubt. I'm assuming that all those villagers have gone down, Lidicor, or at least are very slowly going down. A single archer tries to pick them off from range, and now Viper does finally react to that. He's going to be looking to continue kiting away on this front line. Is there any way that that RecoN holds this?
He needs way more cavalry, I believe. There is a couple of crossbows out on the battlefield, but the main problem for RecoN is that we're looking at 5 knights or less.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of them. We still don't see those crossbows coming out. And look at these men-at-arms coming in. This looks like it might be a cleanup for Viper right now.
It very much seems like it. Archers are nice, but once you got men-at-arms on the field, it's going to be difficult to fight them. And Viper has quite a few of them with 6 ranged armor.
Yeah, now that they've got that +1 in, it's going to be very difficult for RecoN to be able to hold this. Keep in mind, Viper sits on 3 town centers behind this. RecoN only sitting on the 1 town center. So if Viper is able to come in and put in that final nail in the coffin, we also see a Mangonel now going to be coming out for RecoN. He goes for a shot, lands it pretty effectively. Viper almost getting the split off in time, but hitting about 10 units there, we see. But now that Mangonel going to be getting picked off and doing his best to try and survive here. Does RecoN have a chance with this Mangonel, or does he just have a dream?
I think it's more about the dream, especially with now that one being taken down. The archers are still doing a decent hold here, and if they can pick off the crossbows, there might be a small hope. The problem is that RecoN is now on the back foot, and his eco is getting pushed pretty hard.
Yeah, he's having a really difficult time. These crossbows also pushing in, and now that he's idling the economy, Viper is going to have a very easy time moving forward. Getting in underneath this town center, it's going to mean not only are all of his villagers idle, but his production is also going to be idle as well. We see him trying to hold on, but it looks like he's going to be tapping out. Viper claiming victory in the first game, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice performance from him. He baited RecoN into thinking that he's going to go very aggressive at the beginning and just went for a boom. RecoN had his own moments, but simply fell behind in terms of economy, and then Viper was just able to close the game out with an easier transition to men-at-arms. More resources to work with helps quite a bit here. You see, there was a moment where RecoN evened it out. This was the ramp push, but after that, Viper just used the free TCs.
I'll let Lidicor take it away.
Welcome everybody to game number 2 in this best of 5 in between the Viper and RecoN. Viper is up 1 games. We're coming to the home map of Mr. RecoN on Mongolian Heights. On the right side is Viper in blue Rus, and on the left side we do have RecoN as the Mongols in red.
So this map is a notorious map for the amount of sheep that spawn in here. So if we could take a look at the sacred sites, I would love to have a look how many sheep are around them. Oh my lord, look at that. There's a little bit of a party over here. 7 sheep hanging out on this sacred site. Let's see on the north side of that sacred site if we've got any sheep that have spawned on the other side of the river. No, it doesn't seem like it. Yeah, there we go. So there you go. There we go. Now we're talking. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so now we've got ourselves a little bit of a sheep party, and this is exactly what we're talking about. So when it comes to this this map, you've got to really contest these sheep. You cannot let your opponent get all of these sheep.
And Viper is moving out immediately with his scout to grab some sheep, grab some huntables. You see he's already collecting bounty. Whereas on the other side, it looks like we do have no second scout for RecoN, so he's just going to play with the con, and that's it.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, there's a lot of sheep out here, and we actually do see that early dock going to be coming down for RecoN. So I'm kind of surprised to see this early, but at the same time, I understand where he's coming from. So RecoN going to be dropping down this early dock. Do you think it's likely that we're going to spot Viper going for an early dock as well?
I think it depends on how much fish he can scout, because you see that this part of the river on the right side is completely barren. Really, the only place where you can find a lot of fish is on the northern side. So Viper needs to find a suitable spot for a dock that's like not right next to his opponent's dock here. So really, Viper can only place his dock here that's legitimate for fishing.
Yeah, my main concern is even if he does go to place a dock, it's just going to get sieged down. And obviously, you're investing wood. You don't necessarily want to be investing wood if you know that you're going to lose it pretty soon. Have we got an Uvu up yet for RecoN at this stage? We do indeed have an Uvu, so it's going to be starting to trickle in that stone. And both players now looking to secure out more of these sheep. So plenty of red units out on the map right now. We've got the villager that is moving back to a little bit of safety. Doc going to be producing. Take a look at all the wood that has been saved up for Viper. And Viper actually coming out with a villager. Going to begin pushing out towards the dock of his opponent. And looks like he's scouted it out and he's gone, whoop, no thank you. And going to be placing a dock down the river. Very dangerous for Viper here. I'm curious to know exactly what's going on in Viper's head right now and why he thinks he is permitted to make a dock against the Mongols on this map. So one of the difficult things dealing with Mongols on this map is just their potent power in the early game. But look at that Viper right there. You have to rename him the Shepherd after that pickup. Look at that.
It's beautiful. Now, I think at this point, since Viper's only fish he can work with is this one, first of all, we might see some romantic fishing here. But the bigger deal could be that he can just make a couple of fishing ships and convert them to combat ships the moment he reaches Feudal Age. Looks like Viper is moving out. Oh, that's very unlucky. I think he's hoping there is some fish there, but I have bad news, Mr. Viper. There is none.
It is a barren wasteland down towards that direction. He's going to be having a difficult time with that dock, that is for sure. But keep in mind that he is playing the Rus, and so he's not going to need to return those fishing boats. But he's just going to be walking past or floating past his opponents, saying, "Hello, don't mind me." Look at that! Look how comically huge that boat is as well. It's double the size. It's got giant oars, going to be picking up all that fish. And look at that, doing a little bit of body. What is going on? RecoN doing the old. Sorry. LittleCore, take it away. I'm just going to have to mute my mic while I enjoy this a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like Viper's ships are so big that they will physically body block RecoN's ships. In fact, I think Viper is not even fishing with this. He's just chilling here because he knows that those fishing ships from his opponent might not be able to turn around.
Yeah, we can actually see RecoN's now decided to get the other fish just because of the pathing issues related to his own fishing boats. And Viper really putting the hurt on. Look at that. Get him in there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my lord. Oh, Viper with the next level strategies right now.
Yeah. 100% realistic.
Okay, it looks like he's going to be moving his fishing boats onto greener pastures, so to say. Oh, my lord. All right, Viper now going to be able to click up to the next age. RecoN himself looks like he may have also gone for a little bit of an early spear play. So not going to be clicking up. Golden Gate going to be going up for the Viper as well. But keep in mind, his opponent is only playing age 1 at the moment. And we've got multiple spears out here. So these spears are going to be doing their best to try and deal with the potential threat that comes out from these docks. But keep in mind, he is not going to need a dock to return his food. He is playing as the Rus.
That's the advantage indeed, as Viper might lose that scout in the middle. Oh, that's a little careless of him. But as you said,
yeah, first mistake coming out from the Viper today.
These Lodya fishing ships can just fish away here the whole time, and that's going to be some nice added eco for Viper. He's going to lose his dock, so that's very likely. I would think that he's going to convert one of his ships into an attack ship just to try and destroy the fish of the opponent.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that. It makes a lot of sense, especially considering his early age up time. So do note that his resources right now that he is stacking up is more than enough to convert almost all of these boats over to attack ships. So looking like he may have prepared a little bit of a pocket strategy here by going the Rus on this map. We'll take a look. What is the cost right now to convert these over to arrow ships? So yeah, we've got the Lodya attack ship. So it's 60 wood, 60 gold. And he's got out how many ships at the moment? He's got, I think, 5. So he's actually going to be able to convert his entire fleet over and shut this down if he wanted to. So we'll take a look and see if he does that. We see a couple of them converting out now. You can see down in the bottom of the screen that they are indeed converting, and they're sitting idle. They've got to be careful. They're losing a lot of HP right now. This first one might be going down before it even gets a chance to convert. Poor guy is going to get sieged down, and that tower outpost doing a lot of damage as well.
Also, Spearman attacking this fishing ship here, and you see Viper is trying to repair each other with the fishing boats, but so far, very nice job from RecoN to try and take those down. Now we have one attack ship, though, and those Spearmen suddenly become obsolete.
Yeah, this was very, very nice by Viper. A really great use of the Rus bonuses here. So a lot of people look at the Rus bonuses on water and they say, oh my lord, like they're useless, that sort of thing. But you can really see the amount of damage that is coming out from these. But now Viper having a bit of a difficult time as he tries to make his way through the gauntlet there with 2 outposts on either side of the map.
I love those defensive outposts. Those just help so much as we have a light junk now coming in. Those just help so much protecting the fishing eco of RecoN. Notably, Viper is sitting at 485 bounty, which is absolutely marvelous when you're playing the Rus in early feudal age.
Yeah, plenty of sheep under his town center as well. Going to be getting up very quickly to that 500 mark. Probably yet to realize that he's that close and will most likely begin to kill a couple of sheep as he realizes. But now, Villager going to be trying its best to put down this hunting cabin in a great position, but unfortunately, looks like it is going to be getting taken out.
I really love how RecoN is using his forces to just harass Viper a tiny bit, as we're seeing a couple of archers from Viper.
A couple of scouts now getting in on the back or the wood line, TC garrisoning and just shredding them completely. So a little bit of an oversight. But one of the things I will note just from the Viper, have a look how beautifully his hunts are placed up towards the north of the map. Okay, he's got a hunt that is right next to this tree line. He's going to be able to drop a hunting cabin on it and take full advantage. He's hunt towards the front here as well, right on top of this tree line. Going to be getting great returns of gold per minute from these hunting cabins, but now trying his best to provide a little bit of damage on the water here, Litico.
I really love how RecoN is protecting his fishing eco so far, and Viper's navy has pretty much been cleaned up, so from this point on we are talking about a considerable economy lead for RecoN, thanks to these fishing ships.
Yeah. Now, one of the things to note is RecoN, have a look at the resources that he's got stacked up at the moment. He is thinking about an age 3 already. So our Mongol player is going to be looking to get up to the 3rd age. Probably going to be seeing some men-at-arms out. We see a lot of men-at-arms coming out for these Mongol players. Men-at-arms definitely becoming a more potent unit than many people planned, Litico.
Indeed it does, simply because it has such a high pierce armor that feudal age archers don't do much against it. They survive a lot of arrow fire from towers and potentially town centers even. And now, the thing I love about this fast castle for RecoN is that he's able to prevent Viper's aggression with archers and knights by using the junks to control the river, and he should have an untouched way into castle age here.
Yeah, one of the things that concerns me is if he's able to get up to the castle age, he's going to be able to control these crossings very effectively with units like the whatchamacallit, the explosive junk. Thank you very much. You knew exactly what I was thinking. So the explosive junk is going to basically limit Viper from ever crossing over until he gets out a significant mass of Springalds.
Let's see the castle age here for RecoN. Looks like he's going up with the step redoubt as you would expect, and it's going to be a Lancer play from him. Honestly, it might be a better choice, because men-at-arms need some time to materialize. You need to walk all the way up to the opponent's base, whereas knights, they would just be able to run past the town center of the opponent with all the pierce armor they got in Castle Age and just raid Viper to death.
And speaking of running past, so Viper dropping down a 2nd town center now, but have a look at these deer stones that are beginning to move forward. So if we go down towards the middle crossing, the deer stones are pushing forward now. Now, Viper will probably be able to scout this one out as he's got archers moving forward. But these deer stones are going to buff up any units that even get close as those units actually cross over. And now Viper going to be trying to put this down and say, hey, get out of the way. Get out of the way.
I gotta love that deer stones placement. Looks like Viper gets through with a knight or so. It's actually 1.5 knight to be precise. But these shouldn't do that much for damage. And here come double Lancers even. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, this is really, really cheeky from RecoN. He's going to be using the early mobility that Deerstones provides and combining it with his already mobile Lancers. Now, keep in mind, these are not early Lancers. These are Lancers full stop. They are strong boys. And they're going to be getting buffed up movement speed. We see a Blacksmith going to be getting dropped down here. RecoN probably going to get this up. Losing the Villager, highly likely. Let's see. Boom. Boom, there she goes. But managing to get that up. So we now see a technology coming in. It was Siege Engineering. It's improved engineering. Yeah, it's just normal Siege Engineering at the moment. Probably going to look to get that improved Siege Engineering anytime soon now. But Lancer's going to be coming out and looking to clean that up. And Viper actually hitting the castle age as well. Very nice timing from him considering the 2nd town center.
It's a very, very nice timing. Now he's going for Men-at-Arms. I think he's the one that's going to play Men-at-Arms Springolds now. He went up with the High Trade House. His economy should be slightly better. Currently, RecoN is at 43 vills, and Viper is at 43 as well, but Viper's at 0 army.
Yeah, having a bit of a tough time right now. Are we able to take a look at Viper's High Trade House? I want to see how much gold that bad boy's generating at the moment. 168 gold a minute. Not too bad at all for that High Trade House. I think that's probably the best one I've seen yet. So a pretty nice High Trade House. Keep in mind, this is going to be continuing to spawn deer throughout the game, so it'll spawn 1 deer every 60 seconds, keeping about 5 to 6 villagers busy for the rest of the game.
That is a massive bonus. It also gives you a bit of a gold, of course, because you kill the deer and you still get the bounty for it. It also guarantees that you get to bounty level 3 at some point, even if you haven't gotten up already.
Yeah, so I definitely would think that at the moment, the burden is being placed on RecoN once again. Now, he does have a higher score, but obviously he is the Mongol player, as reiterated in the first game where we saw the Mongols. We cannot trust their scores 100% at this stage just because of the way that they are calculated. But now we have that improved Siege Engineering coming in, and I'm almost seeing a reminiscence or a reminder of what we saw in the series between Marine Lord and the Mister. Are you seeing this as well?
I can see that being a thing. The curious thing for me here is that RecoN might have forgotten that he has another blacksmith, because he's getting some standard technologies here as well, when he has a second blacksmith that is not affected by the Uvu.
This is a classic power play. It is it's a professional technique that gets used quite a lot. It is where you forget. So sometimes you see double markets get thrown down, all that kind of juicy stuff. Yes, it is a mistake that many people make. Now RecoN going to begin moving in with that single battering ram towards that town center. He's got to be careful, though. There's Springald's on the back line now for the Viper. Keep in mind, he does have a siege workshop where he's going to need to make these bad boys. He's not able to make them with his military units. But RecoN, on the other hand, now going to be getting that improved siege engineering. Keep in mind, that's going to enable him to make Springalds and Mangonels on the front line with his infantry.
That is a massive advantage, because first of all, he doesn't need to wait until they arrive on the battlefield, but the bigger thing is that he can make them a lot faster than Viper can on a single siege workshop.
Yeah, it really scales quite well. And speaking of scaling quite well, RecoN may be a little bit stuck right now. Multiple... Oh, he is stuck!
No way!
He's stuck!
No way!
Viper he's done it. He's on the next level of strategies. First it was the fishing boats, and now he's stuck the deer stones perfectly. Gonna be taking them out. Where does that even go? It looks like it's just vanished. Can we check the landmark tracker right now?
I think you might lose it permanently. Yeah, it looks like...
It's just gone.
Oh, boy.
It vanishes.
Oh, that's massive. And I believe if it vanishes, you also lose the bonus that it would provide. Right?
Correct.
So...
Yes, you would. Well, technically, there's a technology that it provides. So it should still... It unlocks that technology, but... What just happened there?
That was a beautiful body block.
Oh, my lord. I've never seen anything like it.
Viper just single-handedly avenged all the TC drops from the Mongol players on the ranked ladder.
our savior right now. Our Rus, heavenly savior. But now we see 6 Springalds beginning to push across the crossing. So let's not count our chickens before they hatch at this point, as Viper looks to be in a bit of a difficult spot. Another Springald going to be going down on the front line, and RecoN pushing in, looking to avenge the lost deer stones, wondering where they went, just like we are. You see they're still picking up that YAM network buff, because it did unlock the YAM technology, just not going to be able to extend it on the move the way he was hoping for. But now Viper going to be expanding with a couple of stables on this back line.
RecoN is setting a lot of buildings on fire, which is definitely helpful at this stage. Viper not ready to fight just yet. He's also off from his gold here, so he had to move all the way up for gold. In fact, if you look at Viper, he's only got 7 villagers on gold.
Yeah, not a huge amount of villagers on gold. Does he have any tickets at the moment at his golden gate to be able to spend?
He's got 1. Springald's not big fight.
Not a huge amount, but yeah, Springald's going to begin trading out Springald v Springald. We see the numbers are quite even at the moment. RecoN going to be doing his best to get in on the action. Men-at-Arms looking to connect with those Lancers and pushing them back for the moment. Springalds remain only 1 now for the Viper. RecoN up on about 5, but he's going to be pulling villagers out here. Do we have that movement speed buff for these Springalds? I'm curious to note, because they're going to need to get themselves out of there. Doesn't look like it, as they struggle to pull out. Khan getting killed in the action. Viper going to be in a bit of a difficult spot as RecoN tries his best to clean this up, but Viper looking to hold on. A couple of spears getting in on the action as well.
Those Springalds are now doing a lot of damage because they have been untouched for a while and they are picking apart Viper's army. Remember, Viper doesn't really have a lot of gold, so replenishing those Springalds is going to be very difficult for him. Whereas for RecoN, he can just set buildings on fire and get the gold from that.
It's a really, really good point. He's going to continue to move towards the production. We see another Springald going to be coming out for Viper. He's going to be trying his best to get that Springald mass moving as fast as he can, but keep in mind, he's able to, or RecoN's able, at the moment, to continue reinforcing on the front line. He can continue dropping down these battering rams, these Springalds, whatever it is he needs at a certain time. But speaking of getting dropped down, we've now got ourselves a little bit of a castle getting dropped down. Viper trying his best to get that one in, but unfortunately RecoN spotting it out as the villagers now continue to move forward for this battering ram. They're going to continue to siege it down. Expect to spot Viper try and jump out a whole bunch of his villagers from that town center and look to finish up that castle. He's going to have a difficult time as he fights for his life right now.
He is fighting for his life. He managed to snipe 1 Springald, but villagers fighting in this battle is a very bad sign for Viper. He's completely out of military, if I'm not mistaken. He's down to 3.
Yeah, he needs to get this castle up. He's having a difficult time. Look at all the Lancers converging on all the villages now. There's 13 villages out here, and Viper's in a bit of a difficult spot. He's got that second town center up. He can afford to lose more villages, but at the same time, he really needs something to help him out right now.
He's just so much on the back foot. His entire food economy is idle right now. He's got no food income, and you see, this is just never-ending flood from RecoN. There is more knights, spearmen coming in to reinforce, and as you said, siege weapons can also be built right on the battlefield.
It's definitely looking pretty scrappy at the moment, but RecoN definitely looks to maintain this advantage. We've now got a battering ram that begins to siege down this main town center, trying to attract or trying to keep the majority of damage on it, but it looks like the town center was bypassing it or continues to bypass it as it fires onto these lancers. Are we able to check how much armor are on these lancers? Because they seem to be tanking up quite a bit of a storm. So he's got the +1 armor at the moment for both of those, but now going to be moving his battering ram over onto the castle, and that is probably going to spell the end of it.
Yeah, Viper knows he needs to destroy that ram, because if that keep goes down, it's game over for Viper. He's going to try to get it up as much as possible, and I think the keep will go up. The question is, what will Viper have left, because he's sitting at 49 vills.
Yeah, RecoN looking pretty strong at the moment, sitting on 62 vills. So despite having one town center less, he's got more villagers now as he's picked off a lot of villagers in this fight. Now that the castle has gone up, or the keep has gone up, he's going to look to transition over towards this second town center. So if he gets a battering ram up, he is really going to look to punish Viper.
And here comes that battering ram. I love how he's sending a couple of spearmen and the lancer to the right side to just check on that gold mine. He knows exactly that Viper could have gold control issues soon.
Yeah, and Viper going to be up towards this northern gold mine, and look how much damage RecoN's able to come in and put here. He's got 5 lancers out, and these guys should be able to camp this gold mine all damn day. It's really, really tough for Viper now, as RecoN manages to fall back and provide a little bit of relief to Viper.
Both players are floating a huge amount of gold right now. Part of that is that RecoN is getting a lot of gold from destroying these small buildings, and of course Viper's got a quite unbalanced deco as he is scrambling for defense.
Yeah, now only 10 villagers going to be able to fit inside this town center. A couple villagers on the north side are going to get picked off by those lancers. Now keep in mind these villagers could pop out at any second and look to siege down this battering ram. He's got to make sure he's got to make sure he keeps an eye on it. But now Viper moving forward with a Springald. Going to look to pick these other Springalds off, but getting taken out. But getting a pretty decent trade in. A 1-for-1 is not a bad trade for the Viper. He'll be quite happy with that little pick. But now more spears going to be flooding in for both players. Keep in mind, spears are very effective against Springalds because they are cheap. They've got high HP. It's exactly what you need to siege those bad boys down.
More and more men-at-arms arrive on the battlefield for RecoN, which is probably the right thing to do. Viper is mostly going for spearman defense now, so men-at-arms is going to be a very good support unit against that.
And Viper having a bit of a difficult time as this town center now begins to burn down. We see that bounty gold and bounty food coming in for RecoN, and he's going to turn his attention most likely to those houses. Viper going to try and evacuate the dance floor as those villagers head out towards the north of the forest. We see 3 more lancers coming out, and Viper going to be in a bit of a difficult spot as these knights continue to flood around the map. Just red dots everywhere. Take a look at the mini-map right now, and Viper is in trouble.
He is in serious trouble. That ram can just steamroll those buildings. What you're seeing here for RecoN is about 250 food, 250 gold.
He's having a great time. He is quite literally farming Viper's farms.
Indeed he does, and he's also burning down these lumber camps, getting villagers killed. Viper's economy is very inefficient right now.
And this is part of the reason why, at the moment, the Mongols are very, very strong, because once they get into the castle age, not only are they able to reinforce the front line, but they're able to do it faster than any other civilization, well, other than the Abbasid dynasty, which have got the same bonus. So being able to build this siege on the front line, this versatile siege like the Springald, which is an incredibly strong unit, it really begs the question, is it too strong?
I think by itself it wouldn't be strong, but if you combine it with the fact that you can also reinforce the battlefield very fast, because you got the Yam speed, you got the Khan potentially with the speed boost or attack rate arrow, that is just a deadly combination.
Yeah, it really is a deadly combination. Now Viper going to be doing his best to try and survive. He's got idols all over the map. We'll take a look from his perspective and see how many villages he's on as he fights for his life here. Sitting down on 38 villages at the moment. How many villages is RecoN on at the moment? He's got to be sitting on very well 73.
Almost
he's
double.
having a great time. He's Has he added a second town center over on the other side of the river? Are we able to take a look? What's that? No, he's just moved the step redoubt over. So never mind. He's having a very happy time, though. It's very quiet over in RecoN's base.
I don't think that RecoN needs to add the second DC, simply because, as you said, he's literally farming Viper's base right now, and he knows exactly that Viper is on the back foot, so probably the best thing to do is just keep pumping out army, and just making sure Viper doesn't have the chance to recover.
Yeah, speaking of Viper recovering, now these Springalds are moving in towards that final gold mine that Viper is on. This is our last hope right here, Lidicor. If this goes down, I don't see how Viper's going to be able to get out of this.
Viper popped out some scouts over here. I wonder if that's a wrong hotkey, because I don't see how scouts could help you in this situation. Although, they're pretty cheap, and they could try sniping down the Springalds.
That is indeed the idea, and the Rus are the Civ to do it, because not only do they have stables, they also have the hunting cabin, which is going to be very effective against that, because he's going to be able to train them and essentially not lose any production time from his other primary production facilities.
It might work, actually. You can jump on the Springalds. The thing that RecoN needs is just a couple of Lancers to stop that, though, because the only thing that the scouts can really do is just take down those Springalds. In straight-up combat, they would just die to any other unit.
Yeah, that is the intention behind them. So when you think about the cost of a Springald, 400 resources, a Scout, 60 resources. So you could potentially make 6 Scouts per Springald. So if you were to run in, say, with 12 Scouts or 15 Scouts, that's more than enough to one-shot a Springald. And those Lancers, it's going to take time for them to get through all those Scouts. And by the time they do, all of those Springalds are going to be dead. But it might be a little bit too late for Viper. My fear is at this point, now where his opponent is double his villager count, he's all over his base, he's burning down buildings non-stop, he's got spears harassing the locals up towards the north of the map, and he is just in a very difficult spot.
Yeah, Viper is just losing way too much. He's got limited map control. He's off from gold entirely, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed he is. So he can't go for knights. Replenishing those Springolds will be very expensive for him. He does have 4 supplies on the Golden Gate, so he can buy himself some time, but that's basically it.
Yeah, there's a way that you can actually make resources with the Golden Gate. So if you buy it and then sell the same resource, you will eventually get more of the gold. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for him to do that. Favorable trades are only going to last so long. RecoN actually stacking up a huge amount of resources now. Are we able to check and see his count? Yeah, so he's sitting at 150 military, or 150 population right now. So very comfortable, very happy with himself. But now Viper doing a little bit of a scout raid. He's really pulling out all stops at this point, and you just got to feel bad for the guy at this point.
Yeah, you gotta do that, indeed. Interesting is the fact that RecoN is not pop capped, but he's floating a lot of resources, so it's possible he wants to go into Imperial. But I feel like in this situation, it would be just better to have 20 more Lancers on the field.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think just having that military advantage, and it looks like Viper is going to tap out probably a little bit late here, but nonetheless, it's coming soon enough. Viper having the series evened up with RecoN taking that victory. It is now 1-1.
And you mentioned that right now Mongols could be an S+ tier civilization. We are seeing that more and more appearing in this set and appearing in the entire tournament.
Mongols have lost very few games, so I really wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, look, I've done a recent tier list. I had the Mongols sitting at A tier. I'm probably going to have to move these guys up to S tier after this tournament. They are continuing to just control the narrative here. I am a moderator of the channel, so very curious, but now we're going to be jumping into the third game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third game of the series between the Viper, who spawns in the south of the map on the color blue, playing the English, and his opponent, who spawns in the north of the map, RecoN, playing the French on the color red. This map, of course, is Arabia. We've got a very balanced map today, it looks like, so very happy for both of these players. A front gold for both players, back berries for both of these players. They're going to be very happy with that one.
They gotta be very happy, although it seems like in this generation, both players have gold mines that are outside the range of their town centers, so these are pretty far off. It's consistent, both of the players have front gold that's far from the TC, but it definitely hurts the French player quite a bit that the gold mine is going to be difficult to defend.
Yeah, and this is a really advantageous spawn for the Viper, because he's not going to really need a front gold. Or rather, he's not going to need a gold at all. He's going to be able to get longbows out, spears out. He's going to be very happy. He's going to be making a second town center, probably a third town center. You know what the Viper style is. He is a big boomer. And that gold is going to be really, really important for his opponent, RecoN, who is going to need to be using that to try and get as many knights out as possible. So he's going to need to secure that one. Expect a tower or 2 or 3 on that bad boy.
Absolutely. With the network of castles bonus, the towers forward for Viper help a lot for his army, and I think we have seen that in the Mista versus Marine Lord set, that the English have to play very aggressive and try to deny that gold mine. Notably, there's a patch of huntables at the back of Viper's base, which is a very, very comfortable position for these deer to be in. Viper's gonna love that.
Yeah, both of his spawns are actually along that edge of the map, so he's feeling pretty good about himself when he spots those, undoubtedly. But if we take a look over at RecoN spawns, his hunts are a little bit more out and about, so he's going to have a difficult time defending that. But keep in mind, he is playing the French. He's got a lot more mobility than the Viper has, so he'll see him coming a mile away.
Indeed, he will. In fact, Viper's got low mobility, and Viper is likely going to focus on the gold mine at first. Of course, Viper will always check to see if there's any villagers on the hunt, but if he doesn't find any there, he's not going to commit a lot of resources sending army.
So what type of strategies are we expecting to see out of these players? RecoN is about to click up, Viper about to do the same thing. Undoubtedly, we're going to be seeing the School of Cavalry out of the French player, and we're going to be seeing the Council Hall out of the English player. Where to after that, Lytical?
I think the main thing for Viper is that he's gonna have to drop a barracks and keep adding spearmen. Because the real problem, as it looks like RecoN might lose that scout. Oh, that
He's
hurts
gonna
so
lose
much.
that scout. Oh my lord, huge mistake coming out from RecoN. These are top level players, and to lose a scout that way is incredibly painful. That's huge, and do not underestimate the significance of that. To be playing in the dark for the next 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 120 seconds, I wouldn't be surprised to see him dropping down instead of a knight coming out of this School of Cavalry, a scout coming out instead.
I could justify that, because the knights also have a pretty poor line of sight, so it's not just about being completely blind, it's also about the fact that you will just not be able to acquire targets for your knights simply because they have such a low vision. And you see, he's going for a defensive tower. I am fairly certain that part of the reason why he's dropping it there is because he knows that he has no idea if any kind of aggression is coming to that gold mine.
And that's exactly it. Behind this, Viper could be sitting on stone right now. In fact, I really wouldn't be surprised to see him just say, all right, well, he's playing in the dark. Let's just transition out to stone. Let's think about a second TC. But Viper going to be playing it safe, just starting out with some longbows.
Indeed, he's gonna play longbows. He's gonna need to support that with spearmen, though, because those early longbows will get picked off quite easily by knights. He is quite heavy on the wood, 7 villagers out there, so it's very likely we are going to see at least a couple of spearmen being mixed in.
Yeah, very likely to see. I'm curious as to whether RecoN's going to look to be playing off one base here. Throughout the game or throughout the day, we haven't actually seen him go for more than one town center yet. So definitely favoring this one base play style more than his opponent, Viper, who has consistently added town centers throughout the day. So undoubtedly, we're going to be looking for some sort of expansion towards the mid game. RecoN now reaching the feudal age. No Lancer in queue, or no Knight, rather, in queue just yet. Now it comes through. He is still playing in the dark.
He will indeed play in the dark, and he's going to start walling up. Not something that we see very frequently. Interesting idea, and I kind of like that. Against the longbows won't be able to get through your walls easily, and even if you just limit their movement a tiny bit, you can help your base become a lot more secure.
Yeah, I as soon as I see these walls, I'm immediately thinking he's going fast castle, or at least doing some variant, probably looking for a 3-knight semi here, because he wants to keep Viper out. He wants to make sure that he has got this gold secure, as indicated by the outpost here. But one of the things to note, this outpost does sit on the front side of the gold. Villages are on the back side of the gold. So in the event that longbows do move in, they're going to have a bit of a difficult time. Just because the villagers are going to need to try and work their way through there. Now, there is a knight sitting inside that outpost, so it's going to preemptively be able to strike. And perhaps we even just see a 2 or 3 knight semi with those knights, even not bothering to harass the Viper. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to see as he continues to get more units out.
That's a possibility, and I feel like RecoN right now is just trying to hide his knights inside the tower to make sure Viper is also kept in blind. The other thing that he could get from those knights in the tower, which is a weird feature, by the way, is that he could jump on Viper's army if Viper dares to get close. Because Viper doesn't know what's inside. I think he knows that it's 1 unit inside, but he doesn't know what that unit is.
Yeah, and if Viper's not paying attention when he's pushing in, he could just expect that that is it is a couple of villagers that are inside. But now take a look at this. Viper doing the wall up himself. So playing on Arabia, typically you don't see players wall that much. It's a very open map, and yet both players, despite being in the dark, has Viper scouted out these walls on the north side of RecoN's base just yet? I'm curious to spot that.
Good question, and I don't think so. Although the POV is
Yeah.
bugged.
It is bugged. At least we know that he's explored that area, and we actually spot Viper is taking a little bit of damage here from this scout.
He will see the walls now. So
yeah, he spots the walls out now.
he should know.
One of the things to note is that stone that he's taking is not his front stone. That is his back stone. That is a hidden stone. So Viper could work his way up along those walls. He could spot that out, but Viper did run past this initial stone and may expect that there is just going to be no second town center that gets added here. But in reality, there is.
I love how RecoN is playing with this with defensive towers, and you see neither of the players are really committing a lot to the army. Viper has got no spearmen out, which means that those knights should be able to hold off the longbows.
Yeah, how many knights are out at the moment? There's 3 knights out at the moment sitting in that tower just hanging out? Yeah, 3 knights in a tower. That is a party by my standards. But now going to continue. Viper looking to chase away this this scout, but misclicks on the wolf. I don't know if that was a misclick. Probably not. Probably intentional. He takes out the body infantry.
Speaking of the scout, RecoN actually added a new scout over here. He needs to know what Viper is doing, as I would expect Viper to start working towards second TC himself. He has added some longbows, but RecoN knows that those longbows are all the way back here, so he's gonna have no problem booming here.
Yeah, now there's a very crucial piece of information that RecoN would have been able to pick up there as he ran past with his scout. That, my friends, is the blacksmith. That blacksmith is going to be indicative of the Viper's intentions. Normally, if you spot a blacksmith out, you can expect your enemies probably just going to be playing on the one base, at least this early. So going to be avoiding an expansion. So we'll take a look and see whether RecoN does decide to stick with his plan of opening into a second town center at some point in this early stage, or whether he looks to add in a few more units. He continues to sort of just be hovering around these low resource marks, so it looks like he's probably going to be adding an archery range very shortly. We'll take a look at how he plays it, though.
He has gotten a blacksmith, which means that he has the attack upgrade immediately. The moment he saw the blacksmith, he knows that Viper will have the attack upgrade, so he's grabbing the defense upgrade for now. He's going to have to delay his second town center, though, because you see, he's only 2 on stone. He doesn't have the wood for it. So it's probably just going to be slow game and add the second town center whenever possible. He's playing a very, very safe game as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a super duper long game coming out of these players right now. Both players walling up, you know, neither of them really taking it all too serious when it comes to the rush, but at the same time, that could be a little bit of a trap. You know, when you spot walls coming up from your opponent, you're thinking one of two things. Number one, they're trying to stop raids, or number two, they're trying to stop information. And if they're trying to stop information, being able to get behind those walls can definitely help you figure that out. But RecoN probably should have spotted that blacksmith, and subsequent response should be an archery range, just because when the rams come in, you're going to have a tough time. That blacksmith, to me, almost 100% confirms there's going to be a ram timing. We're able to check. Yep, there's the siege engineering coming in now for Viper. And this this is already looking concerning for me, because I feel like he's not adding enough units here.
Yeah, that's the problem. I feel like a 2 town center boom could work here with all these walls. The problem is that right now RecoN is not really booming that much, right? So at this point, he's got his only reasonable gold mine exposed. And it's not like he's getting a castle age advantage. Maybe, as you said, semi-fast castle would have been more legitimate here, just so that he gets the advantage of getting into castle age and getting some castle age technologies in.
Yeah, Viper now going to be pushing out, and a second outpost or second tower going to be added down on this gold mine. I did mention earlier that he could look to secure this gold mine with numerous towers, but keep in mind that siege engineering's come through already, Litter, and the siege towers are going to have absolutely, well, not the siege towers, rather the rams, the battering rams are going to have no problem getting through those outposts.
How many spears does Viper have, though? Because we have to keep in mind that there is about 8 or so knights over here, soon more, and I don't see enough spearmen to fight this.
Yeah, but that's a big longbow mass. That's the thing. And these guys have got +1 attack. Now, obviously, +1 pierce is on the knights, so they're going to be able to keep up with that. But they're doing 3 damage a pop out there. So when you've got how many longbows are we looking at here? 22, 23? 22 longbows. That's pretty good math right there from me. I'm glad I eyeballed that. 22 longbows, 3 damage each. That's 66 damage a pop. So they're looking at, what, 3-shotting those early knights? That's pretty good. I'd be happy with that trade.
Especially if you get a tower up here, hidden inside the stealth forest. That's going to give you the network of castles bonus. When you build a tower, though, it is actually going to replace the stealth forest, so it's not as hidden as one would think.
Yes, indeed. But now the battering ram going to come out here. No archers out at all for RecoN, and I've got a feeling this might be over before it started, because RecoN's going to be able to siege through this gold. He's going to be able to isolate it. We see a third tower trying to get dropped down on the north side as RecoN moves in on the villagers that were healing up the battering ram, taking them all out and soaking up a little bit of the damage. Spears now looking to connect in with those knights as they chase them away. The longbows on the backline are going to be absolutely fine as the battering ram tries to get away from those villagers that look to siege it down with their torches, and Viper is holding on. Gonna have no problem here as he looks to pick up multiple villagers, picking off villagers as well as knights, and I think this is a good game. I don't think there's any way RecoN can hold this. He just didn't invest in archers when he needed to. He spotted that early blacksmith. He should know that this is coming, and yet still we didn't see that archer switch.
Yeah, he played a little too passively, and now he's getting punished for that. As you said, now it's a difficult situation for RecoN. He's down to 7 army, and Viper is at 37. He's going to steamroll the entire base of RecoN. This might be game here.
Yeah, this is incredibly difficult for him. He's got these towers down on this gold mine, but he's going to be losing tower after tower as more villagers continue to go down. A good game gets called. Viper moves up to 2-1 and on to match point in this best-of-5 semi-final.
This is a tough one for RecoN. I feel like the word I would use for this, or the phrase, is too easy. You can't give Viper such an easy victory. Like, first game, second game, RecoN made Viper fight for it. This game, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna play one town center, try to work towards the second one, try to play defensive, and Viper didn't really have to make a massive effort to win this game, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Viper, this was a game out of quick search right now that was 18 minutes in queue for RecoN, and he misplayed it that badly.
Hello and welcome everybody to a match point game in between Viper and RecoN. Viper is up 1 game in the semifinals of EGC Genesis. On the right side on Altai is Viper in blue French, and on the left is RecoN as red English. This is the home map of RecoN, and we do have a fairly balanced gold mine spawn, I would say, for RecoN. One on the front, one at the back, and one on the side.
Yeah, he'd be pretty happy with this spawn. Keep in mind he is playing the English, so gold not going to be a top priority of his. But speaking of top priority, take a look at RecoN already. Going to be getting out onto the map and grabbing up this hunt. So a couple villagers out here. He's going to be transitioning over onto that hunt. Not going to be picking up that survival techniques just yet, but is probably going to be looking for some sort of early boom here. So we'll take a look at how he unfolds with this. Now, keep in mind, Viper on his side of the map is still yet to take that hunt. Now, these map spawns do look pretty balanced. Both of these mountain ranges having a hole in the middle, which sometimes you don't always see, but plenty of trees out here and another hole down the south. So going to have a lot of access into these flanks. Typically, you do see these completely walled off, or not walled off, but rather impassable by the map generation. So nice little balance that we've got here today, Lyrico.
Both of these crossings are actually with the stealth forests, so you can potentially hide a couple of units in there, as we do have one major gold mine on the outside of those mountains. Also, one hunt for Viper is on the outside, whereas RecoN's second hunt is still on the inside part of those mountains. Bit of an advantage there for RecoN.
Yeah. Other than that, though, looking very, very fair. So double gold mines, both spawning close to their own respective player on their opposite sides. But do note, RecoN's is a little bit further away, just because his spawn is so much closer to this left flank, whereas Viper somewhat sits in the middle of his two mountains.
Looking at Viper's woodlands real quick, because as you said, there's a limited amount of wood to work with. This is a woodland that he has to be happy with. The other one is quite exposed on the front, so this is not going to be suitable for him early on. Whereas for RecoN, he should also be satisfied with his woodlands. Both of those are fairly well defendable for him.
But interesting to note, this map typically spawns with 4 woodlines. We actually have a 5th woodline that's spawned in the middle of the map. So this is actually going to help out RecoN a significant amount. If he is able to tower this bad boy up or keep this bad boy up, he's going to be happy because this is going to give him at least 10 to 15 minutes of extra wood time where he's going to be able to get longbows out that he shouldn't have been getting out, really.
I'm just noticing that Viper's base is more open than we expected. You see, there is a lot of hills here, but the reality is that this opening allows units to pass all the way through here right to this middle crossing, so Viper's left flank is quite exposed here.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether he spots that, whether he looks to wall it up. Keep in mind, he is opening with the School of Cavalry here, so going to be looking to have a little bit more mobility than his opponent. We'll take a look at the upgrades. No survival techniques coming through, which is very curious. Normally on a map like this, I would expect survival techniques coming through at maybe 20 seconds, 25 seconds. We do see it coming out. It pays off so incredibly quick on a map like this. But Viper, on the other hand, going to be getting his survival techniques as soon as he's out on this hunt. And probably looking to secure that one up. He has scouted the hunt to his north as well. Still no survival techniques coming in from RecoN. But he is quite heavy on gold here, Liticor. What is the deal with this?
I think he wants to start his feudal age up first and then get the upgrade. So that's the reason why he's keeping free on gold. I wouldn't be surprised to see him grabbing survival techniques and then pulling the villagers from gold.
Interesting choice. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see how he plays and whether that is his decision. RecoN now going to be getting a little bit of additional scouting information as he heads over towards Viper's base and looks to scout out what is happening. Still no survival techniques just yet. Gathering up 120 gold, keeping those villagers on gold. So do we potentially see an early blacksmith getting dropped down from him? Maybe that is what we're looking at here.
It's a possibility. Now he has used up his gold.
Ooh.
There's the survival techniques.
Yeah, so you were on the money with that one. That's not something I expected to see. But I guess it makes sense having that age up come through first. And now we've got ourselves a little bit of a wall. So RecoN definitely identifying that this hunt is in a pretty fortunate spot for him. We've got a couple of sheep that might be getting stuck on the wall. Take a look at that. They've decided to give up their allegiance and pledge allegiance to the wall of his opponent. Viper still trying to move that sheep ever so slowly, but can't believe he lost a couple of sheep just like that to a wall. I didn't know it was that easy to get them or to convince them to move out. I'll have to speak to my New Zealand brethren and explain it's not as hard as it seems.
Viper still has it, so he can right-click home and send it back, but looks like the sheep isn't really motivated to walk back home at a rapid pace.
Yeah, I think he's got other things on his mind at this stage. But take a look at the walls that are coming out now from RecoN. RecoN also going to be walling up the west side of his base. There's one thing you know about the west side. The west side is indeed the best side. Going to be getting that survival techniques in now for himself as well. So finally coming through. And we'll take a look as Viper begins to submit. I was going to say submit, to submerge, to diverge, to attack his opponent. We'll go with attack. It was difficult for me to get that word out, but it did eventually happen. And Viper, got to be careful as that knight almost going down right there, managing to keep it alive with... How much HP did it manage to get out there with? 31 HP, so not too bad.
Viper is sending a knight to the left side as well, but that's already walled off, and this defense is gonna be much more legitimate for RecoN than the previous one was, because Viper is gonna need some sort of archer or infantry component to add siege, and that's somewhat unlikely. Early chivalry on the way for Viper to heal that knight up, but it's possible Viper is just gonna boom, seeing that his opponent is playing very defensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised here, but keep in mind RecoN is the kind of guy, even though he is a bit of a defensive player, he's not necessarily the type to go for a big boom himself. So I would be careful if I was Viper. Viper actually going to be adding in a blacksmith himself, moving in with a couple of knights. These guys have got full HP on them, and RecoN doing a great job in calling these villagers back. Going to be able to get them all back to safety and not manage to take any losses there. But now moving back forward, some longbows doing their best to put on the pain. Critical.
Longbows without upgrades, so are the knights. So despite the fact that RecoN was on gold for so long, it looks like he's not going for an early blacksmith. Instead, he went for the eco upgrades, even grabbing wheelbarrow.
Very different strategy to what we've normally seen him play. I do like the fact he is going for one base and playing a little bit like greedy one base strategy here. It's a rarity to see this kind of come out, but nonetheless, we will look forward to seeing how it unfolds. RecoN now still yet to gather up any stone. Viper yet to gather up any stone either, so both players still continuing to look towards that one base play as a little bit of a wall comes in now for RecoN just to prevent the passage of any knights up towards that north side.
That's a good wall for RecoN. You could see that Viper was trying to sneak past here, and longbows have to move all the way up here to pick those off. And if he moves up there, the knights can hit the wood line. So this way RecoN can limit the movement of Viper even more. And it looks like we're looking in for probably a semi-fast castle here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that out of him, adding that second town center through the King's Palace, which is a very nice choice. But Viper has added that blacksmith. I'm curious to see whether he's got siege engineering coming through just yet or +1 Pierce. It is indeed +1 Pierce coming through for him. So he's going to be feeling a little bit more comfy with his engagements there. But do note, there are a significant number of archers beginning to build for the Viper. So I wouldn't be surprised to see siege engineering coming out for the next minute or two for him. He's definitely favored this a lot throughout the day, winning with the last game with that technology.
There's the blacksmith for RecoN. He's gonna grab the attack upgrade. That's gonna come in very handy because Viper already has the +1 defense finished. Well, it's gonna be finished in 2 seconds.
Yeah, so not too bad. Going to be able to keep up with that, but yeah, different play styles that we see coming out of these English players. So more aggressive players would probably be pushing out here with spears, looking to get control of the map, potentially isolate any of those front resources. So there is a wood line there that could potentially be isolated, but RecoN just playing very defensive at the moment.
He's playing extremely defensive. The more interesting thing is that he's floating a lot of food. He is pumping out longbows, but he's just so low on gold that it's not likely that we're going to see him move to Castle Age anytime soon.
Yeah, going to be expanding now up towards that northern hunt as well. Keep in mind that hunt is feeling very good, but Viper going to be pushing in as well and looking to see if he can get a bit of a connection here. No French connection just today, but Viper now also going to be expanding out to his hunt on that eastern side of the map as well. 5 villages, or 6 villages rather, heading out in that direction. So both players going to be expanding out to their hunts at the exact same time. Viper got to be careful, almost losing a scout there, and you guys know exactly how difficult that can be if you lose that scout.
Yeah, you will not have any kind of RecoN.
Oh, this guy. Oh, you guys know what that means. He's made a reconnaissance related joke. We get to talk about yogurt. That's the rule. But now Viper going to continue to push out across the map, and RecoN's going to be careful here. His mass continues to build. I think he might have over-chopped this wood line just a little bit, so he's got to be careful. He might need to fill that one in. It is very commonplace that over-chopping will occur. Viper had a little bit of an over-chop in his last series, but no over-chops just yet for him. Either player yet to gather up any stone, but we actually see Viper about to click up to the Castle Age, dropping down that guild hall right now, and going to be going up with a lot of villagers on that. 14 villagers in total, so every single gold villager that he has got is going to be building that, and he falls back for the moment, appreciating that he's going to need to get those upgrades in sooner rather than later.
I love the decision. He knows that he can't break RecoN right now, but he's got the French economy, so he's ahead in resources. He's gonna be able to click up faster. The guild hall basically means that he wants to play a long game, economy-focused game, and he just wants to get that Castle Age as soon as possible so he can get the Castle Age upgrades, and the timing here might be very unfortunate for RecoN if he gets caught off guard by Castle Age Knights.
Yeah, he's got to be really careful here because these Castle Knights, or these Castle Age Knights, upgrade very, very quickly as well. I think the tech time on that bad boy is about 30 seconds. Indeed, it is 30 seconds. So he's not going to have a lot of time to react once those knights come in. But now take a look at what we've got coming out. Siege Workshop. So we could potentially see a bit of Mangonel play. But do note there are plenty of barracks on the backline. Viper is a big fan of the men-at-arms. And with the men-at-arms for the French, they do not need to upgrade them. They are already veteran status, ready to go.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. There's already +1 Pierce armor in as well. And Viper is also picking off reinforcements, including crucial spearmen.
It's really important these spearmen make it to the front line. When this battle does inevitably and eventually go down, he's going to need every little bit of assistance that he can get. That +1 Pierce really going to help out as well with those men-at-arms. As you mentioned, the mass begins to build of those men-at-arms, and we see how many men-at-arms are coming out right now. Triple men-at-arms at a time. This is pretty big. Is he even getting the veteran upgrade yet for his knights?
Looks like not.
Oh, he's not. So really a great choice here from Viper. He said, I'm going to open spears, but then I'm just going to go into a full switch. And I don't think his opponent has scouted this. We don't have any scout behind the base of his opponent. In fact, I don't see any scouts on the map at all for RecoN. So a lack of scouting information from him. And he's not even going to be, Viper's not even going to be mad that he loses this building. He's just buying time because every second that the fight continues on this front line, it's more men-at-arms that he's got on the back line.
That's indeed the case. At this point, Viper doesn't care about this school of cavalry, and you see that RecoN is deploying the palings, so he's expecting cavalry, but reality is that Viper is switching entirely into men-at-arms. He could afford the second defense upgrade even. The only problem for Viper is that he's a little low on food, so getting a lot of men-at-arms out is a little tricky.
Mangonel going to be rolling out now, and this is very concerning. Viper looking incredibly strong, spotting that one out. RecoN does manage to get off. Oh, he's got to be careful. His longbow's taking a pretty big brunt of that attack. A single battering ram almost getting completed here. It looks like he's going to have to cancel that one as it, yes, he does indeed cancel it. Now going to be trying to pick off those men-at-arms, and look how much damage those bad boys take as they try and make their way towards the longbowman. Meanwhile, on the back line, we've got ourselves a little bit of a push happening with a bit of a raid, rather, and going to be forcing him off gold. So no third age for him. You can see his resources to the top of your screen. He was trying to get up to the third age, but not going to be happening at the moment. Not if Viper can help it.
Yeah, this was a beautiful play here for Viper. He completely caught RecoN off guard, and RecoN just chose the worst possible time to attack because Viper was up to Castle Age already. He's happy that he can even pull away the longbows at this point. He doesn't have the campfire yet to heal them up.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it from RecoN's perspective, he needs to get up to that third age, and he needs to get Springalds out. I think Springalds here are going to be his saving grace if he can manage to do that. Viper going to be looking to trade out his knights for a couple villages, but now those men-at-arms going to continue to move across the map, and look how much damage those bad boys take. Barely getting scratched with the +2 armor coming in as well, and he really needs to get up to the next age, get out some men-at-arms of his own, as well as some Springalds, and that should be able to deal with this pretty effectively as he now looks to click up himself.
He's got double barracks, so it's actually a possibility that he can start making men-at-arms already, but he needs to upgrade them to early men-at-arms first, because Vanguard men-at-arms is a Dark Age unit. After that, though,
Ooh.
Armored Clad would be a very nice upgrade for RecoN, and instead of the King's Pass, he's going up with the White Tower, which is a much more defensive-focused landmark. It's basically a keep.
Oh. Yeah. I don't like this at all. So it's so difficult in his position to justify the King's Palace, but I feel like if you do not make the King's Palace, you may potentially just fall behind the French player nonetheless. But now Viper going to continue moving in with this Mangonel, looking for a decent shot. We'll see if he can get one off. Just going to be taking out a couple of the villagers on the front line instead. We'd love to see Mangonels on the villagers, but now Mangonel reloading, pulling that big spoon back, and now that White Tower going to be coming up. RecoN reaching the Castle Age. We'll look to see whether he gets those veteran upgrades in as soon as possible.
He can't afford it right now. He can't afford veteran longbowman. That's just another part of his pain right now.
He's having a difficult spot. All of his woodline being denied right now. So Viper coming in over to this north woodline. At the same time, we had men-at-arms running in as fast as they could on that south woodline. Now, he's making a siege workshop. Take a look at the White Tower. The White Tower can actually make a siege out of it. So it might just be the simple fact that people so rarely use the White Tower that they don't realize that it can actually make siege. So a little bit of a mistake here from RecoN. But, I mean, he's under a lot of pressure right now. And this is part of the reason why the White Tower is just not that strong. It's because of the trebuchet. So enemy going to begin trebucheting down the base of RecoN, slowly working on these houses at the front line. Do you think there's any chance that RecoN holds this?
It's a possibility, but he needs his upgrades ASAP. Like, he's still missing the attack upgrade. He's still missing the veteran. He can't heal his longbows because he doesn't have the campfire. And as you said, that siege workshop feels a little wasteful given the fact that he could just make the exact same siege units on the White Tower.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. So, as an example, if he wanted to get the upgrade that increases the speed of his siege, so the greased axles, then he would need to add that siege workshop in. But that's a very rare upgrade that we see. Often we'll see players go for 11, 12 Springalds and still not get greased axles. So it really begs the question as to whether that was an oversight. But now we see spears going to be coming out from the Viper as well. So we'll take a look at RecoN's base. The main thing that I want to see with RecoN is a men-at-arms switch with that clad armor, aka Chad armor. So this armor gives +2 melee, +2 range. Incredibly strong, Lidicor.
The melee upgrade is what really matters here, because the men-at-arms of the opponent won't have that. Although, the French won't be very disappointed about that, because they can have the arbaletier out.
That's a really good point. The arbaletier is one of the strongest units of the crossbow line. Incredibly strong. Very high armor, very high attack, and now looks to be getting off a couple of shots with these Springalds. They're going to be trying their best as the Springald begins rolling in for the Viper as well, and now the Springald wars begin.
The economies are quite even, which is, I guess, a good situation for RecoN to be in. Usually the French would have a much better eco, and we're seeing some Knights coming in from RecoN.
Mangonel shot on the front line, going to be taking out a couple of units. That Mangonel shot being a little bit overshooting the mark. Second Mangonel rolling in now. Look at these splits that we've got coming out from RecoN. He's definitely showing his prowess now when it comes to micro, managing to take a couple more shots up towards the north, but only on a few archers, so not doing terribly. Mangonels continue to roll in. No Springals on the back line for him, so he's going to have to deal with these Mangonels one way or another, and now falling back, doing his best to try and escape those Mangonels and those men-at-arms.
One thing that he did not do is use his Knights to try and snipe the siege weapons of the opponent. He has been fighting the men-at-arms and the spearmen of his opponent the whole time, so Viper can keep his siege weapons intact.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen any sort of any scout switch at the moment. He does have scouts available to him, I guess, from the town center, but no stable added in just yet. But I would expect that we would see men-at-arms, or at least more men-at-arms, really try and get in on top of those Mangonels, burn them down, and then let the longbows rain in their terror on those upgraded men-at-arms.
The English is one of the best defensive civilizations in the game, though, and what I would love to see from RecoN now is two things. First of all, the network of citadels bonus, which would increase the network of castles attack rate both from 25% to 50%, and the other thing is a tower here. The combination of that means that your longbows would have 50% attack rate when fighting here.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. It's the network of castles bonus is very significant, and when it's upgraded to that network of citadels, it just doubles that up, and it's insane how fast those arrows begin to fire. You can also combine that with the Age 4 tech that the longbows get. So it is, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, arrow volley. So you can get 120% attack speed, basically firing off more arrows than they can actually shoot. It's pretty crazy.
Looks like we still don't have the attack upgrade in for RecoN. He's going for a melee upgrades instead. He's switching into Knights. It's going to help for now, but of course against the French you don't want to play Knights, because the French can just do the exact same thing and win.
Yeah, I think in this situation it actually works pretty well. The Knights are going to act as a very nice front line for his archers, and now we see that outpost getting dropped down with a lot of villagers over on the left-hand side, but he's got to be careful of any potential Mangonels that come in and look to do some damage. Knights actually doing a great job of just providing the cover that these longbows need, being able to prevent them from having to retreat.
That's actually a very, very good fight for RecoN. He did lose some villagers, as Viper is moving in with his own Springalds, but the Knights could catch those Springalds from Viper now.
Yeah, he's got to be careful with these Springalds. Very easy for him to just run in with them, and now we see Knights beginning to switch out for Viper as well. He's got to be careful. That's a veteran Royal Knight, but it is going to go down. I suspect it manages to survive with 27 HP. Oh, Lord.
Both players are still on one town center, I believe, but Viper's got the guild hall working for him, and he hasn't touched it for a long time. 3.3k gold in that guild hall at this moment.
French is a perfectly balanced civilization.
Shown by their perfect win rate in the tournament.
Oh my lord, 3.3k gold right now. Viper is saving it for a rainy day, and I tell you what, that rainy day is yet to come, because he's looking like he's in a pretty decent position now. He's got 2 trebuchets out as well, which is a significant investment. You got to really think about that. The amount of resources that are being invested into this siege for the Viper is significant, and he continues to trebuchet down the base of his enemy.
Indeed, as you mentioned before, there is a limited amount of wood available on this map, and RecoN is starting to run out of it, and he just doesn't have map control.
Yeah, it's a very difficult spot for him. He needs to gain control of this middle. We see Viper actually going to be dropping a forward castle now in the center of the map, going to be securing up this wood line for himself, as well as the sacred site, and putting himself in a great position to just control this hill. Trebuchets are going to continue to rain terror down on the base of RecoN, and he's going to have a difficult time getting out of this one.
I feel like with that many longbows for RecoN, who finally has gotten veteran upgrade, he really needs that attack upgrade, because that's still one of his more important units in the army.
Yeah, it's very curious that he has avoided getting the +2 pierce, or +2 pierce attack at this point. But we'll take a look over at Viper's base. I want to see exactly how he's doing as the push begins to happen. Have we got a second town center added in just yet? There it is. So second town center for Viper. He's managed to maintain a push on the front line while expanding his economy on the back line. And look at this raid that we've got, Lidicor.
Viper is just gonna slaughter those vills. RecoN didn't notice in time, and now Viper is at 85 vills. RecoN is at 45. That's just way too many losses for RecoN.
Yeah, I'm curious to know whether you think there's any way that Viper's going to be able to lose this game. He's looking incredibly strong right now. Spears on the front line, going to look to deal with these Knights, but the Knights are overwhelming, and Viper probably looks to lose this battle, but the question is whether he's going to be losing the war as the men-at-arms continue to make their way down towards the infantry that sit on the back. The council hall going to be going down to those trebuchets, and Viper begins to rally troops in from all areas of the map. Viper looking incredibly strong at this point.
He's looking incredibly strong. Wasn't the best fight ever for here, but it's enough. It's enough for Viper to push this. He took down the council hall, so there is no more longbows out, and from this point on, I feel like it's just going to be a snowball.
Yeah, this is a difficult spot for him. It looks like RecoN may manage to hold. The question is, as I mentioned earlier, not whether he wins the war or the battle here. It's whether he wins the war, because it is on match point right now. Viper is up 2-1 in this series. If Viper wins this game, that is it. RecoN goes home, and Viper will move through to the grand final that is happening today.
And Viper is not far away from trapping down these two landmarks either. That's all that he needs to do. Take down the White Tower, take down the TC, and he's gonna win the game no matter what.
Yeah, this is a very difficult spot for RecoN. Once again, keep in mind, his economy is significantly less than Viper. Viper using the French bonus as well as the second TC to really push that economic lead and demonstrate why the French are considered so strong.
That's just another beautiful keep position for Viper, who's getting some more siege workshops up. At this point, it doesn't seem likely that he's going into Imperial anytime soon. He can just use the momentum and finish this game in Castle Age.
And take a look at Viper's current resources. It looks like he's finally clicked the button. He's got more than 3,000 gold just sitting there as he continues to gather up more gold now from that guild hall and demonstrating why it is considered such a strong landmark.
White Tower slowly going down over here, and it's now or never for RecoN. He needs to fight and just pray, because that's the only thing he can do. His eco is just too weak to fight this one now.
Yeah, he's having a bit of a tough time now as Viper looks to continue just killing villagers. He's happy to sacrifice and trade off these units one for one because his economy is so much better than RecoN's, and he knows it. So RecoN really right now is pushed up against the wall. He's got nowhere to go, stuck between that rock and the hard place.
At this point, we're looking at 132 population against 73. Pretty much double the population as another keep goes up here for Viper. Look at that beautiful position on the hill.
Viper doing incredibly well. The third castle going to get added in for him and really look to slowly push this down. The Trebuchet plus castle combo is incredible. I love to see it from Viper. He's playing this incredibly... This is just a slow push, but at the same time, it is a... What's the word I'm looking for? It is immaculate. It is perfect. There is no mistake that he can make here. It's very, very methodical. That's the word I'm looking for.
Indeed, it's very methodical. And Viper knows exactly what his position he's in. He knows he has the eco advantage, so all he needs to do is just make sure he doesn't throw away the game. Make sure that he doesn't take a fight that he doesn't need to.
And that's exactly it. He's very happy to just slowly siege these down. This is the last landmark for his enemy at this point. He has got, you know, the potential right now to just take him out from a landmark victory. And there is the real potential that he could just dive in for that landmark and take it out. But it's only going to be a matter of time until that landmark goes down. Whether RecoN's actually going to realize it or not is a different story, because this has actually happened to me before. I played a game against Viper when he was still kind of learning Age of Empires 4, and I took out all of his landmarks, and he didn't even realize. He's like, okay. And the same thing may happen to RecoN. RecoN actually going to be repairing that landmark, so he is realizing. So at least he's got one up there. but now looking to push back in towards the base of Viper. Might be a little bit too late, though, Lidicor.
Yep. Viper's gonna lose the Knights here, but once again, he's cleaning up villagers. RecoN is stuck at like 40 villagers, which is just very underwhelming. And the Knights can just dive in to snipe those 2 repair vills.
Yeah, it's a really tough position for him. And the question is whether 2 villagers are going to be able to out-heal 2 trebuchets. And I've got a feeling they probably won't. But now, Viper looking to clean up this mess that is back in his base. His economy is still looking incredibly strong. Viper also going to be cleaning up the villages of RecoN up towards the north of the map. He snuck a couple of villages down to the south. He's got multiple gold mines that are being worked on. But the main issue that he's got is not going to have enough resources to keep this town center alive.
Yeah, that's a kind of underwhelming fight here for Viper. He's gonna lose his Springolds to the Knights, but it's not like it matters. He killed all the villagers, and this game won't come down to this town center staying alive or getting destroyed.
And GG getting called right there. RecoN tapping out, realizing it was only a matter of time until those trebuchets took out the town center. That puts Viper through to the grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. He wins the series 3-1. RecoN walks away without going through to those grand finals.
What a set this was. I kind of feel like attrition could have been a bit of a factor for RecoN because he had very, very good games in the first 2. And then you just had that somewhat awkward approach in game number 3. And game number 4 also was a little bit disappointing from him. Obviously, he is up against a very, very tough opponent, and Viper being in the grand finals is just such a cool story here for the entire Age of Empires scene. Being probably the best ever to play Age of Empires 2. Now he's in the main event of AoE 4 first, and he's in the grand finals in the first ever major AoE 4 event.